I don't date men who didn't grow up with their fathers. Is that a true statement for you, ladies?
No.
No? Okay, so like that doesn't qualify for you. What about you, Kelly?
Um, I can't say that I haven't dated men who haven't had their fathers. Um, I feel like you should give everybody a chance if you're interested,
Mhm.
because you don't really know their story, So I think you giving a person a fair chance is to kind of understand their background, where they come from, why they operate the way they do, and if it's workable, then work with that person. But if it's not, you gotta let them go.
Okay.
But I will say that there is a difference for sure.
I totally agree with what Kelly is stating. I also feel that it's unfair for us to automatically judge people based off of circumstances that they couldn't control, right? Like, so I can't say because your father didn't stick around, or for some people, their father might have passed. If their father died, am I not going to talk to them just for that reason? It's a situation that they can't control. But we also have to say and take notice that if you don't have a parent in the household, it does change the dynamic. It changes how you grow up. It changes how you deal with certain situations. So, like Kelly was stating, it's on it's on my part as the person dating them to get to know them a little bit more and see, have you grown in those certain places where you may not be full or whole as someone who maybe had both of their parents in the household.
And usually it's very challenging dealing with a man who hasn't had his father, because a lot of times when they're raised by an auntie, a grandma, a mom, primarily all women, they tend to pick up feminine tendencies.
Boom.
And I mean, they a lot of times they don't want to accept that, but it's true. And a lot of times when it's all women, and they don't have maybe boyfriends or someone who's been in their son's life as a father figure, it really gets sassy, so to speak. Seriously, I know that's funny, and I know that's a word that people use currently. That's but it's true. I've experienced it before, and it's very challenging, and it's rough. It's rough.
So do you think it's possible for a man to still be in his full masculine frame if he doesn't grow up without a father? Let's say hypothetically he had a father figure, maybe a coach, maybe an uncle. Does he have to have the father?
Yes,
No.
no, not a father, but a father figure, a mentor, someone who's able to give him guidance from a male perspective. Because when you're growing up with women and you're just seeing everything that women are doing, you're picking that up.
Hmm.
As a boy, you're picking up their ways. You're picking up how they respond to situations.
Hmm. Yeah.
Not
I
not every man. I cannot speak for every man. I can only speak for experiences that I've had, and things that I've witnessed.
um
So
I also feel that sometimes when men are only growing up with women, women tend to coddle our children, right? We're natural nurturers. So, knowing how rough the world can be, as Black women, especially, and understanding the problems that Black men will have, we tend to protect and try to shelter them as much as we possibly can, which unfortunately becomes a detriment to them as they get older because it makes them weaker, right? Then they can't really take rejection as well. Now they're dealing with everything from an emotional standpoint. They don't know how to make logical decisions, which is why, unfortunately, we may have so many young men that react so quickly to certain things that don't go their way instead of them trying to process it and figure things out. But just as this becomes a problem for men, I also think it's a problem for women, right? Like a lot of women that only grow up with women We also don't know how to deal with men or how to be soft or how to be feminine, which also may make that dynamic, if you're dealing with a man that only grew up with women and a woman that only grew up with women, it makes it a very hard dynamic to deal with. It makes the relationship so much more tumultuous, because now you have two powers that are unnatural going against each other.
I also think I think it has a lot to do with the type of women that you've grown up with too. Because a lot of men come from toxic backgrounds. Um, you know, maybe the mom was on drugs. Maybe the auntie, had a volatile situation. So if they're around that, they tend to emulate those things. So it's really sad. And I think that men should seek therapy in those situations. Not all men, just, the unstable ones.
And you know what's crazy is that it doesn't even have to be like their mom was on drugs, right? It could be something where their mom had a bad experience with their father. So now they have this idea about men that all men aren't ish, right?
Yeah.
And they say these things. And I think sometimes we don't realize how powerful our words are, especially when we speak them to our children or over our children. Because you're
Yes.
talking to this young boy and you're saying, well, men aren't ish. They never do anything right. They're stupid. They don't do this. They don't do that. But you're raising a young man. So that's what he's going to internalize. And inevitably, that's what he's going to start acting out. Well, I'm not worthy. I'm nothing. I'm not smart. I can't do this. I can never provide. I can never do that. So it doesn't always just have to be drugs. It's all about the mentality, like Kelly is stating, of the women that are raising them. Because there are also some single women who have raised very strong men.
Absolutely.
But it's all about how they approached that situation. And it really comes down to the mentality that they have to have in order to really raise a man. Because if we're really being honest, a woman can only raise a boy to a certain age. From that point on, they definitely need some type of male figure around, because we don't know what it is to be a man.
Boys need their fathers for sure. And if it's not their biological father, they need a father figure. And
Sure.
I'm standing on that.
Let me go ahead and get Sherm in there. Sherm, how does the absence of a father figure during upbringing impact the man's approach to relationships and dating?
I feel like it's like very, very serious, as the ladies have mentioned, because, I've had friends that have grown up without fathers, and they knew that my father was always in the house, like my biological father, right? Not a father figure. I grew up in the house with my dad, and they told me that, like, they could see a difference in me and how I am now, and they more so understand me as a man now than like they've ever had, because them growing up with just in a woman's presence, they didn't know that, like, okay, men are supposed to be doing this. Men are supposed to be trying to get money. Men are supposed to be, at that age, 18, 19, you chasing woman, you trying to find a mate, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, they were never around that masculine energy to even know what it's like. They couldn't really decipher in it. And yeah, man, it's like, it's really a shock to me, because I had no idea that it was as impactful as it is. Like, say I talked to one of my other childhood friends today. Both of us grew up with our fathers in the house, and both of us are like, calm, cool headed, don't want any drama. We don't snake people. Like, we're probably like the most masculine dudes out of our entire crew. You know what I'm saying? Like, me and him could talk to each other and talk about how other people get down in a different kind of way. But when we look at the biggest difference, it was because we've had our dads in the house, and my homeboys had their actual, like, real dads in the house versus the ones that had stepdaddies or like no daddy or whatever. Now, as like real grown men, it's a dramatic difference. You know what I'm saying? When you a kid, you're like trying to get along with anybody and everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like, fuck it, man. We here, whatever, let's chill. But when you a grown man, you like, nah, I really want to mess with somebody like of my ilk. You know what I'm saying? And more than likely for me, it's like I get along better with men that grew up with their father in the house. Period. Like, I was just at the pool with my homeboy. His parents met at 22, 23, still together in their 60s. You know what I'm saying? We just having a good time. you know. But other than that, bro, like, you know, I'm not gay or nothing, but it's like it's hard for me to,
What?
you know, like say like how the ladies are thinking, dealing with a man that wasn't raised with a man in the house. I kind of look at it the same, even when it comes to my relationship. Like it's super tough. There's always something different, something lacking. Their mentality is different. Their principles are different. Their morals are different. And I could just I pick up on that. But then we could get on with women not being raised with men in the house. A fucking dramatic difference is right there too. Because my dad always told me to make sure you date a woman that loves her father.
Mhm.
And I didn't listen to him at one time. And I said, okay, you know, this girl, you know, she got it going on. She got a car. She graduated from college. She fine. All
Ow.
this, you know, people doing their thing. And we had a child together. And she was like, nigga, you ain't shit.
Mhm.
And I was like, what? Motherfucker, what? Like, I just flipped out. I'm like, I'm paying all these, I'm doing this, doing that. And then I told her, I was like, no, your daddy ain't shit. It's not me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the way she thought about her father was projected on how she felt about me. Like she never got the opportunity to respect or love a man. So it's not to say that a woman in that same predicament will not be able to, but it's like if I'm looking for a phenotype of a person, I'm checking all of those values when it comes to like if I'm gonna take that person serious. You know what I'm saying? But that's just for me based off how I was raised, what I want, and how I get down. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that there won't be a woman that could be loving and come from a broken home and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like that could happen. You know, anything, there's always exceptions. But I do respect the fact that people, especially Todd, because I seen that clip that she had as well when she said that like she wants a man from a 2-parent household. I was like, you know what? I feel that because I know the dramatic difference between like a woman growing up with one and a woman not growing up with one.